So what's going on, guys? It's Jam, it's Speed Boxing. Make sure you guys subscribe to this channel before you click on any of the videos. Also comment below in the comment section if you guys have any opinions on what I'm saying in any of the videos. Like always, it's appreciated if you guys could drop me a quick sub or two on my channel. So I just read an interesting article on BoxingScene.com talking about bad judging and how it's affecting boxing. And two legendary fighters are quoted talking about this situation in this article: Evander Holyfield and Juan Manuel Marquez. And I'm going to quote both fighters here talking about this. I'll quote Holyfield first. He says, "It's a big problem with the judges. It's not possible to see things in a very different way. Sugar Ray Leonard ran in the ring and won. Mayweather ran in the ring and won. But the others ran and lost, and people call them chickens. It's a matter where the conflict of being in agreement. This is hurting boxing. People who judge have never fought before, and they qualify them as boxing judges. Personally, I always fought hard, and I never wanted to leave anything to the judges, because when you see other people scoring a fight without ever having been in there, the thing that must happen with the judges is that one of them fails, he must be removed. It's wrong. The boxing robberies cannot continue happening. They need to eliminate them." Also a quote here from Juan Manuel Marquez. He says, "The important thing is to agree on the criteria. It happened to me many times to put professional and neutral judges in there who are not inclined to a certain boxer, because boxing has lost credibility. Judges have not been doing their work, and commissions must put capable judges to stop what is happening." So yeah, two very interesting quotes there from Marquez and Holyfield. And these guys have been robbed before. Holyfield was totally robbed by Nikolai Valuev in 2008, and because he was robbed in that fight, it stopped him from becoming the oldest heavyweight champion of all time. Like, it stopped him from adding something to his already great legacy, and that was a terrible decision. The fight was shit. The fight was boring as fuck, but Holyfield still won it. You know what I mean? And he was totally robbed in that fight. And if you've ever seen that fight, or you'll ever watch that fight, you can just clearly see that Holyfield won the fight by 4 or 5 rounds. You know what I mean? Valuev just did totally nothing in there. And Marquez, people think he won all 4 of the Manny Pacquiao fights, because they think that he was robbed in 3 of them where they went to the decision, and obviously he won the last one by knocking Manny Pacquiao out. He was also robbed against Chris John many years ago. Remember Chris John, the Asian featherweight fighter? Manuel Marquez was robbed by him as well in a fight. So these guys have been robbed a few times. And boxing, I don't know, it's a very subjective sport, boxing. Like, these judges are very, very subjective nowadays. Like, some judges base a fight on aggression. Like, for example, the Hughie Fury, Josie Parker fight a few weeks ago, well, last month. That fight was scored based on aggression. Like, Josie Parker won that fight 118, 110, and people were outraged by them scorecards. But at the end of the day, a lot of the rounds were close. So if you're a judge and you like aggression, then you're going to give them close rounds to Josie Parker. So if you look at it from that perspective, then it's not really a robbery, you know what I'm saying? And some judges just like aggression more than they like back foot boxing. Like, not too many judges like that. If you're on the back foot and you're throwing a jab and you're being negative and not really landing power shots or coming forward or really taking it to your opponent, especially in a title fight, judges are going to score against you, and they're going to score for the aggressor. But then you got the Golovkin-Canelo fight, where Golovkin was being the aggressor and Canelo was the one moving around, landing, but he was landing the cleaner, more effective shots, and one judge scored it 118, 110 to Canelo. Like, that fight was very close in my opinion. That could have been a round or two either way. Some people had Golovkin winning clearly. Some people even had Canelo winning clearly, because he was landing the clean, effective shots. You know what I mean? So some people score a fight based on that. I think the best way to score a fight is the best way to score a fight, in my opinion, is you score the guy the round if he's landing the more clean, effective shots. If a guy lands the clean, effective shots in a round, you give the round to the guy. You know what I mean? If it's a close round and not many guys are fucking landing many clean, effective shots, then you give it to the aggressor. That's how I score a fight, usually. You know what I mean? So, yeah, scorecards are very subjective, and sometimes they can be very interesting. Sometimes you can watch a fight and score it very close, to someone, and then the judges have it wide for him. You know what I mean? So yeah, very interesting perspective. And some people like still don't understand about shots landed and stuff like that, like CompuBox stuff. Some people think, oh, he landed more shots, he won the fight. But it don't work like that. Like CompuBox is just a guy pressing buttons. Like, yeah, he could land more shots, but he could land most of his shots in 3 or 4 rounds. Like all of them shots in 3 or 4 rounds, and they're the 4 rounds that he won. But the guy who hasn't landed as many shots, he could still outpoint him in 8 of the rounds. You know what I mean? He could still land shots, more shots in 8 of the rounds. It's just that he's through more shots in the 4 rounds. You know what I'm saying? So you can't really score a fight based on CompuBox. So yeah, boxing is very subjective, and I think it's always going to be subjective. But sometimes scorecards are just blatant robberies. Like Jamie McDonald, he's having a rematch with Liberal Solis this weekend, because last year they fought. It was last December when they fought, and Solis was robbed in that fight. I gave him that fight by about 4 or 5 rounds, and he was totally robbed in it. Jamie McDonald kept his title. Another example, Ryan Burnett versus Zanat Sakyanov the other week, and that was a very close fight in my opinion. I had Burnett winning it by 2 rounds, but one judge only gave Zakyanov 1 round in the whole fight. Like, how can you give Zakyanov 1 round in that fight? Like, if you go and watch that fight, I just don't understand it. You know what I mean? But then someone apparently took a picture of the scorecards. Like, someone managed to zoom their camera in because they were next to the judging desk, and they zoomed in. Like, this is about 5 rounds into the fight, and a lot of people felt after 5 rounds it was a close competitive fight, but this judge had Ryan Burnett up by 4 rounds to 1. You know what I mean? So you fucked basically if you're the away fighter going into someone's backyard, because Zakyanov was going into Burnett's backyard. So yeah, sometimes you just fucked before you even get in the ring. Like Canelo's the best example of that. Like when he fought Austin Trout, he was fucked in that fight. Austin Trout, he'd have to knock Canelo down about 9 times to fucking get the victory, because he was never getting that. A lot of people felt that Austin Trout won that fight, but he lost by wide margins. Canelo against Erislandy Lara. I've always said that Canelo won that fight, or it could have been a draw, though. But a lot of people feel that Erislandy Lara won the fight. Me personally, I couldn't give him the fight, because for the last few rounds of the fight, he wasn't doing enough for me. He didn't throw many shots, whereas Canelo was sinking in the body shots and stuff like that. He was landing the more cleaner shots. So that's what I really score a fight on. Clean, effective shots. Understand that Lara was looking good on the back foot, slick and stuff like that. And he had a good start, Erislandy Lara, in that fight. But for the last few rounds, he didn't do enough. And I think Canelo picked him at the post. So, yeah, boxing is very subjective. People score fights different way. You know what I mean? Like Ward Kovalev, for example. I scored that fight to Ward by 2 rounds. Whereas people scored it wide for Kovalev. Fucking HBO commentators scored it wide for Kovalev. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes people shout robbery too quick. If a fight's close and competitive and one guy gets it, but you're a fan of the other guy, you're going to shout robbery because you like the other guy. You know what I mean? But sometimes, in my opinion, they're not robberies. Like Manny Pacquiao, Timothy Bradley, that was a robbery, the first fight. That was a robbery. When 150 fucking media and former fighters score the fight, you know what I mean? Media members and former fighters score the fight, all give it to Pacquiao, and about 3 people out the media give it to fucking Timothy Bradley. Like, come on. That's a robbery. But Ward Kovalev, it was pretty much split. You know what I mean? Like, half the media and ex-fighters and people watching gave it to Ward, and the other half gave it to Sergey Kovalev. So, yeah, very interesting, this judging thing right now in boxing, because ever since the Canelo-Golovkin fight, people have got a magnifying glass over it lately. Like, every fight, people are thinking, oh, it's going to be a robbery and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's like that Canelo-Golovkin fight. That was a big fight, you know what I mean? And someone wanted a decisive winner. We all wanted a decisive winner, and we didn't get it. And it left a bit of a bad taste in the mouths, especially the scorecard of 118-110. Like, that fight to me was a draw. Like, I thought that fight was a draw, or it could have been a round or 2 either way for me. But the 118-110 scorecard that was just ludicrous. So yeah, this is just my opinion on this. I just waffled on a bit. Just thought I'd have a little bit of a rant. So yeah, comment below in the comment section. It's JM, it's Beatboxing.